I actually typed out notes and everything for you guys tonight. It's just I slipped on everything else. All right, so um the markets today. We're gonna talk about the markets. We're gonna talk about Bitcoin. Going to talk about a lot of little moves that happened in the marketplace in the since the last time we talked on the Zoom call. If you did not listen to Mr. Levels, and if you were not paying attention to the group chat and you missed Bitcoin, just stick your hand through the computer so I can pop it. Because I like literally, if I put in the group chat a pair and with a bunch of exclamation points, and I'm like alerting you to the fact that the trade is doing something amazing, go look at the chart. Um, like Bitcoin since then has like hit well over 13,000. So I think when I sent that out, Bitcoin was on its way to 11 or a little bit over 11, probably a little bit over 11. But anyway, yeah, Bitcoin hit $13,217. Um, there has been a lot of open interest in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has been surging because there have been a lot of major players in the marketplace who are actually open to networking with cryptos, i.e., one of the major ones is PayPal. So when this news came out, Bitcoin literally hit 12K and kept going. Um, we know PayPal to be the company where you put in a card or you connect it to your bank or whatever the case may be, but having cryptocurrencies connected to PayPal now is going to be a game changer, especially when it comes to buying items. Think about how many platforms there are out there that accept PayPal payments. And now to be able to connect your PayPal account to a Bitcoin wallet, or whenever you click on PayPal payment, let's say you're on eBay or Amazon, you click on PayPal payments and it takes you to your PayPal account. You can click on Bitcoin, transfer the money via your Bitcoin wallet for that transaction. Amazon's not going to know how you paid for it. They just going to know that you use PayPal. eBay is only going to know that you use PayPal. So, um, like I said, that's a game changer. The fact that right now it's holding steady in the high 12,000s is very promising. Um, there are also several major hedge funds and banking institutions who are now kind of gravitating towards cryptocurrencies because it's becoming more popular. The more you talk about something, the more you introduce an idea to people and they're receptive to it. Um, the more you're going to see banks start gravitating towards this. I've been checking out Bitcoin transactions, how many large transactions have been made, and there have been a lot of Bitcoin transactions made in the last 24 hours that have been well over $100,000. So, again, promising signs for Bitcoin. Um, Shifting a little bit now to the market. I'm not sharing my screen yet. I will in a second. But shifting now to the Dow, US 30, SPX, NASDAQ, just the indices in the US altogether. Couple things in the market happened today that have kind of had the market at either a standstill or just falling off the cliff. So a couple of those things are we don't have a stimulus package yet. So it has been said that Mitch McConnell and the GOP have been stalling because they don't want a stimulus package passed before the election because those Republicans who are up for reelection don't want to have to contend with anything Trump related. Believe it or not, there are a lot of Republicans right now that are kind of trying to distance themselves from Trump. There are a lot of huge investors, cash donors, as they're called sometimes, who are also trying to distance themselves from Trump. Why? Don't really know. Some of it could be polls, some of it could be ideology, some of it could just be reelection concerns and holding a seat and that sort of thing. But with all that being said, um, yeah, we still don't have a stimulus package. The White House has said that they want a stimulus package in the next 48 hours. So Trump has given them 48 hours to come up with a stimulus package. So a lot of the sell-off and the consolidation that you're seeing is because prior to earlier today, late yesterday, there was a lot of optimism already baked into the market, meaning there was already um, the market had already priced in to a certain extent that we were going to get a stimulus package because we heard Jerome Powell say we need a stimulus package. It's going to hurt the economy if we don't. We've heard other Fed officials say we need a stimulus package. We've heard Trump say we need a bigger stimulus package. So we've heard all this talk about we need a stimulus package. It's going to hurt our economy if we don't. The people need money. We need cash flow. But here we are. So whenever a Fed official or a government official starts talking about um, what we need, the hope is that that need is going to be met, that thing is going to be done. So all that time that you saw the markets moving up when Jerome Powell was talking and Trump was talking, that's what it means to have price baked in. The market was optimistic even though it hadn't happened yet. The market was acting as if it had happened because these people hold powerful positions. Now the market's like, okay, we're, just a couple of weeks away from the election. We still haven't got a stimulus package yet. We're starting to hear rumors that they're purposefully stalling the stimulus package until after the election. Um, you know, what does all of this mean? Will we even get a stimulus package? So the market isn't sure now. So all of that optimism that the market had before when we didn't have a stimulus package, now the market's starting to come back down to reality. Like, okay, we were kind of hopeful, but now we don't know. So all of that optimism that was baked in is now fading away. So the markets are, like I said, consolidating, waiting. Trump's giving Congress 48 hours to kind of get this done. Um, let's see. Another reason why the markets kind of fell off today was because one of the Brazilian health officials announced that there was someone who was in COVID trials that died. Whether it was truly because of the actual treatment they were getting, they didn't say if the person was in the placebo group. They didn't say if the person was in like the active vaccine group. Um, they didn't say anything. So we just know that a person in the trial died. Um, Healthcare stocks as well as AstraZeneca, Moderna, J&J, all these companies, all the companies that trade on the NASDAQ here in the US that have open trials that are on pause right now, it literally sent their stock dropping because that makes it less likely that their trials are going to resume. It makes it less likely that they're going to be able to resume under the same parameters that they ended with. So that's just a little bit to keep in mind there whenever we're talking about um, our actual markets. If you guys have been paying attention to US 30 in the last hour, US 30 took another little dive. So US 30 was diving earlier, and then it took another little dive for about a little over 3,000 pips around 7:30 because um, we got a lovely press conference from the FBI stating that they had election that there were major election security issues. So that press conference started at 7:30, and they talked about how Iran and Russia have been tampering with our election. Iran has obtained information that can be used to undermine confidence in the elections and the whole process altogether. Um, they've actually obtained actual voter information. So these people have been contacting voters via email, via phone, on social media, targeting their ads, sending them emails showing them either false information or videos to kind of undermine the whole process. And there are some videos that came out from Iran that were telling voters that they could take illegal actions like um, filing um, filing their ballots while they're overseas in an illegal content, not like military, because the military has its own way of making sure that ballots get sent in, but um, just foreign nationals saying like, oh, you don't have to be a citizen, you just have to live there, you just have to have a permanent residence, you just have to have not a permanent residence, I'm sorry, you just have to have an address. So just a lot of false information. And then another thing about the elections is that there have been incidences around the nation where ballots are actually being burned and trashed. So the little boxes that they have set up for people to actually submit their early votes or mail in. So I didn't realize this, but certain cities in the US actually have special boxes set aside from the regular postal boxes um, where you can put ballots, and those boxes are being damaged and burned. So here we don't know how many ballots were in there because it's paper. A lot of times when you burn paper, it's going to burn down to ash. So um, not really, they don't really know how many ballots have been destroyed. Um, don't really know like what the impact of all of that's going to be for the election. People who have already voted are now concerned that their vote isn't going to be counted, their vote isn't going to be heard. So we just have a mess. If you wanted to boil down everything that I just said into something simple. So jumping into the actual forex factory calendar, um, there's a lot of stuff going on outside of just the forex factory calendar, as you've heard me mention. We have debates coming up with Biden and Trump this week. Um, Pay attention to those. There's some new rules. Trump doesn't like the new rules because it involves mic muting, and he doesn't like the host. Um, just several things. But even though mics are going to be muted, it's already expected that this is going to be a very hectic and chaotic debate. Fairly similar to the last one, just because of the fact that um, you're dealing with Trump and Biden, and it's a presidential election um, debate. So it's always one of those things where people are heated. They want to be able to get their point across and explain themselves and talk and convey their message to the people, um, and not seem like the bad guy. But you also are trying to paint the other person as the bad guy at the same time. So pay attention for the debates and stuff that are happening this week. In Forex news, later on this week, we have, actually tomorrow, we have Bank of England governor speaking. We have unemployment claims. We have a CB leading index coming out tomorrow. We also have the New Zealand dollar consumer price index coming out tomorrow afternoon. So, in addition to this, I've already mentioned it, but we're looking for a stimulus deal to happen tomorrow, hopefully, or Friday. So If you don't know much about bills, how they get passed, what the process is, so this whole process with the stimulus package is putting something on paper. It's putting something on paper so that it can go to the committee, so that it can be voted on, so then it can be put through the process of actually being enacted and like have some action put to it. So um, once something's put on paper, it has to go to the committee by the weekend, and then there's a 72-hour lockup period. And then once the 72-hour lockup period is over, then there's like some more steps that happen, and then it has to be voted on, and then everything has to be like literally finalized and put on paper. So like everything that they're doing now is to literally just get something on paper. This is the crazy part. People think that once they say there's a stimulus package that's been passed, like we're good. No, like they're just still trying to get stuff written down and put into legal form in a sense. There's a lot of bills, there's a lot of government oversight committees and associations and divisions that we already have set up that both sides are actually trying to write rules for, which you can't do. So OSHA being one of them, there was some conflict about trying to rewrite some OSHA rules. And I get where they're coming from, protect the workers, but at this, there again, that's something OSHA needs to do on their own and not be forced to do it through a bill. Anyway, that's not on here for tomorrow. It's not on here for Friday, but definitely make sure that you're paying attention, because if you're going to be in US 30 um, tomorrow and Friday, yeah, pay attention, because news can come out either way, that they're going to agree or that they're going to disagree. And we know which way the market's going to go for both of those decisions. So just be prepared. If you can't pay attention to your phone, if you don't have the proper notifications set up, then just don't trade it. It's not worth it, especially with everything that we have going on, not only here, but just outside influences on our economy. All that stuff just starts to take a toll after a while. Um, and then Friday, this is all the news that I was telling you guys about Monday. Um, the European news and the GBP news. Pay attention when it comes to these two currencies for news regarding Brexit, um, tariffs, and China relations, because that's going to be super important, especially for the GBP, because Australia has decided that they're going to try to break off ties with China. That's also going to affect um, the reciprocal agreement that they have with the GBP as far as work assignments are concerned, and it's also going to affect trade, not only for Australia and China, but for Australia and the GBP for the UK, um, just because of pricing and trade routes and that sort of thing. So that's what we're going to be looking forward to for the rest of the week. The rest of the week, even though it does not seem US news heavy, it is, because we have a debate. We need a stimulus package. We found out tonight, after the market has closed, that there has been Russian and Iranian tampering with our elections. And the New York market hasn't had a chance to respond. Most bankers, most people who can actually do anything about it in the market won't have a chance to do so until 7 o'clock in the morning. So keep that in mind, because tomorrow could start off a little rocky given the news that we just got tonight. London session, I'm expecting that we can get some reaction out of US 30 and the USD pairs out of London session, especially like EU and GBP. They're European pairs. They'll be open during London session, and then they're a major trading session. So they'll be getting a chance to respond to our news before we do. And if they respond in a certain way, we have to respond just as equally, just because that's who we are and that's how our markets are set up. So just pay attention tomorrow and Friday. Um, can't really think of anything major that's happening other than what I've told you. Trying to make sure I've told you like everything as far as like options and if you trade stocks, things to look for, but all of those things are just really going to move the market regardless. So that's all that I have for you guys. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Level so that we can get into the charts. You're going to be able to see in the charts a lot of the stuff that I was telling you about. If you go back and look at the times for some of these press conferences and press releases, you'll actually be able to see the actual move the market made based on that news. Like when we get to US 30, we'll be going back looking at the 7 o'clock time frame, and you'll see that drop happen like literally right after that press conference was over. And then with Bitcoin, you'll be able to see the moves that's happened since our last Zoom call and since I sent you guys the message. So you'll be able to see where the market pulled back. I sent out the message in the group chat, and then it wasn't necessarily a signal to get in, but it was a excited message about Bitcoin. Then you'll see the opportunity where if you had looked at the chart, you would have seen the market pulling back and had a chance to get in, and then could have rode it up some more. But we'll keep looking at that stuff. I'll send out news um, about the major stuff as I hear it. And here comes Mr. Levels.
Cool beans. Appreciate that, Corman. A lot of great information. Get my charts up.